Well, hello and welcome back to Movie Bucket here on Screen Stealers. Hope you got your popcorn, a soft drink, and maybe even a soft pretzel. We're here to talk about another movie, only this time we're broadening our horizons. We're going international this week, and I'm quite excited about it. I'm Brooke, and I literally have nothing to say about this movie other than the cinematography is stunning. Um,
Period. And hi, I am River, and my advice is that the safest place to hide it is in your butt.
Yeah, yeah, you were right. Hola, I am Eduardo, and I don't know about you, but I see us in the future signing white people's autographs. I just see it for us.
Well, I'm David Healy, and we're all going to get through this podcast. No one's going to die.
No one is dying.
it's like I feel a heart attack coming on.
Suddenly,
How
I
dare
am
you,
giving
David.
birth.
You all picked this. Sorry.
So
Oh,
yeah,
No, I'm
so
not sorry.
oh, I'm not sorry even remotely.
Yeah,
So wrap us up in the end of our March Madness month, which I must say was a rip roaring success, and we are definitely doing this again in the future.
Absolutely.
Just for the record, I just want to go ahead and get that out there before we even get into anything else.
Spoiler
This one's gonna
alert.
be great. I love
yeah.
this. We are rounding us off here with Io Capitano from 2023, a Best International Feature Film nominee at the Academy Awards. From Italy, but also produced in like 3 different countries, but it was representing Italy at the Oscars.
It was
Although
co-produced Italy, France, and
Belgium.
Belgium. Yes.
Yeah.
and it's also our first film that we all watched in a foreign language. It is none of our native languages here. So
Multiple languages. Yeah.
Yes.
very many
Many.
languages. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it out here. This is a hard watch. Let's just put that on the table before we go any deeper. This is a hard watch, as me, River, and Eduardo all discovered.
Damn.
Yeah.
We were expecting it because David did tell us, but I was like, okay,
Listen,
you were okay.
listen. I knew that it was going to be a hard watch. I did not know how hard this was going to be to watch. I didn't think it was going to be this hard to watch. It's a tough one. It's a toughie. So definitely, it's one of those that you have to be in the right headspace to actually like really appreciate it and love it and like watch it a little bit. Uh, so if you are incredibly depressed right now, I urge you wait until you feel better to watch this movie because it's not your time. It's not the time right now.
You got to be
Yes.
in an okay headspace to
Yes.
dive into this, but it's completely worth it. I honestly, to anyone that likes this type of movie, I would recommend it. It's
Mhm.
so good, so good.
Yeah, I can honestly say that I watched this in at like 4 in the morning. All right, I got home from a DoorDash shift. I was still
Mhm.
awake, and I'm like, well, I can watch it now. We're talking about this, and I'm not going to say when I watched it, but vis-a-vis this recording, but we're talking about it soon, so I could just go ahead and watch it now. I'm fully awake, and I have to say, I kind of think that might have been the best way to watch this movie. And I don't mean the do it at 4 in the morning, but in that like neutral headspace. Don't watch
Mhm.
this in a good mood either. Honestly, it'll just depress you. Like,
Yeah,
I,
that's
Or
true.
if you have to like go and talk to people after watching this, like you have to be social after this, like I don't recommend.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would not be pleasant. I think this is definitely like we were talking about Best in Show a couple weeks ago, and David mentioned that you should watch that movie with other people because it like increases the experience.
Mhm.
Complete opposite. Watch this movie by
Watch it
yourself. I
alone.
like fully am just gonna say that. I think I cannot imagine trying to be social while I watch this movie.
Oh
I just
no,
can't.
absolutely not.
Or
Yeah.
after. Because I'm like,
Well,
we are talking here, like we are being social, but it's about the movie. If I had to talk about anything else, I would my head would not be here.
The battery is drained at present. The battery is drained.
It's not even that, like that too, but also because it's such a strong movie, like impactful, that it's really hard to stop thinking about it after you finish it. Like it's gonna be in your mind for a few hours after, unless you like actively try to do something to go against that, you know?
Yeah.
So, David, I'm going to go ahead and ask before we get into the, because this did come out of your bracket from March Madness. What made you select this in the first place, and what were you hoping would happen when we did pick this movie? Like, what was the hopeful response?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so obviously I went with all international features, different languages for my bracket. So I was just thinking about like what are some of the ones that made the biggest impact on me, especially recently, because I picked a lot of recent ones. And this is one that I just remember going into kind of blind. I didn't know the premise. All I knew was the poster, the cover poster. So I'm like, oh, here's this floating woman. It's clearly a fantasy film. It can't be that heavy, right?
Oh no!
Little I know the fantasy elements. While it had a couple of those, they're very small. Like they're not a huge angle to the film. So yeah, I went into it and it broke me. I sobbed, especially one specific scene. And rewatching it, that same scene tore me up. And we'll talk about it. But I love when a movie makes me feel something, if it's good or bad, like positive feelings or negative feelings or whatever. And I want to share that with other people. I wanted you all to feel this as hard as I did. And it sounds like you did.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I feel the same way as you, like, about movies. Like, I just want to watch something that will move me in any direction. Just make me think, make me feel mighty real.
Not so much.
Did anyone else cry? You can be honest.
No, but I will say
a little bit.
And I want to be clear. I was deeply emotionally moved. It takes a lot to make me cry watching a movie. I can think of, in my grand time of watching movies, I think I've cried at 5.
Oh wow!
And there is one movie that every time I watch it, I will sob like a child at the ending, and I will not divulge what movie that is on camera, because
Trevor, we are on a quest. We are on a quest to find this movie. We need to.
I'll tell you what, off camera, I do not want, if for some reason, if this is the video that blows up, I do not want to get bullied for this in the comments. I'll just put it that way.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll talk about it
actually
off camera.
Yeah, I'm actually somebody, like, I will cry sometimes at movies, but I had a realization a few months ago that, like, a lot of times, especially if I'm watching a movie with people or in the theaters, I will hold back. Like if I'm feeling that emotion, I don't want to express it. That's embarrassing. But I recently made the decision, like, yeah, if I feel like crying, I'm going to go for it, because, like, why hold back? Why not let that, like, release that your body is saying you need to do? Just go for it. And I'm not saying, like, obviously, Brooke, that doesn't sound like it's the case for you. But for me, like, I love the catharsis of just letting it out and not holding it in, sobbing when I need to. And yeah, this gave me a good one.
Yeah. I am an easy crier. I've always been. But to me, like, I did cry a little bit, more like watery eye, you know, at 2 specific scenes. But I don't know why I didn't, like, sob or whatever for this, but I think it's maybe because I was feeling so many other emotions other than sadness that were, like, overpowering that. Because what I remember from the experience I just had was just being tensed up. Because I don't think any of you have seen it yet, but for anyone watching that has seen it, it's a different story, but the way that the movie made me feel is very similar to how I feel when I watch City of God, which is, it is a devastatingly sad movie, but there's so much more to it, and the story is so much more than just sad that it just overpowers the sadness. It was a very similar experience for me.
Yeah, I have to say, I had a very similar experience to River here. I am also, I wouldn't say I'm an easy crier, but I do cry when I watch movies, and I'm not one to hold back when I want to cry. So like, if I'm going to cry, most of the time you will hear me like it will be like tears running down my face. There might be snot coming out of my nose. Like it can be crazy sometimes. I'm not even going to lie. But this one was more like you said, River, just like a little bit of a watery eye and just like one or two tears coming out of my eye. And I hadn't thought about why I couldn't actually let it out, but you're right, River. I was just so anxious. I
No,
was
I
so
was
tensed
angry.
up.
I'm thinking, I'm like, I was anger. I was just like, it was anger at the situation that they were
Yeah,
being put in. So that was
yeah,
much stronger than my sadness. I was just like enraged.
yeah. You're when you are so tense, like your body physically, like even though it's trying to push out the tears, it's like, no, I am holding everything in. I cannot do anything. I just need to fight. I need to just like throw some punches. And so, yeah, that was my experience when it comes to crying into this movie.
Something interesting though is like when we were talking about this in the March Madness bracket, I was recalling the story as best as I could because I hadn't seen it in a couple of years. But my recollection was that these were two people who were refugees, like seeking a better life because they were having a struggle in their home country. And rewatching it, that really wasn't the case. Like uh, they were living their life. Obviously were not well off. Like they came from a poor community, but they wanted to go to Europe because they wanted to have fun. They wanted to be famous. They wanted to have a rap career. And what's
Well, they did
interesting
want
is
to have a better life and send money to their families too. So,
true.
but like,
That's
yes.
that's yeah, that's an aspect. But I think it's interesting. Like I had to like check myself on it because I think a lot of times people are like, oh, anybody who's a refugee or an immigrant, like it's because they have a horrible living situation right now and they're persecuted and they're struggling and they're coming here because they're desperate. And that's not always the case. A lot of people want to just go somewhere because they want to be in the area that they've seen like movies or TV, and they just see this cool place and they're like, maybe that's a life I want. Even I just came back from Grenada. I was there over the weekend and we were talking to our tour guide about like where he's been. Have you ever been in the United States? And he's like, oh, I actually applied for a visa to go visit the United States because I have friends in Colorado, but I got declined. And I'm like, oh yeah, like we're kind of assholes. We just don't let
Well,
people
yeah.
into our country or
Oh
Europe.
yeah, let me
And
tell you,
mhm,
the work that you
Maybe.
have to put into getting a visa is insane. It's anxiety inducing. It is
And
terrifying.
expensive.
mhm,
Incredibly expensive, incredibly anxiety inducing. And the worst thing is, I have heard so many stories of people working so hard, spending so much money, going through so many lengths to go apply to the visa, and then they get there, and then just the person interviewing them is just in a bad mood and chooses, "You're not getting the visa. You're not getting the visa because I'm in a bad mood." And so it's crazy to think about like that perspective of like how I have seen people try to go to other places and like immigrate to the USA or like try to get a better life from here to Mexico to the USA, and how you don't have that experience of like watching like people be like, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to go to the USA because I'm going to have better job opportunities there," or straight up, "Hey, I am poor. I have nothing. I have nothing worth living for here. I have to do something. I'm going to go up north and try my best, and if I die on the way there, I die."
not even
crazy
those, but
to
even
think
like
about.
travel visas. Just like I want to go to
Yeah.
Disneyland. And like
Yeah,
people sometimes get rejected, like they have to take a trip to Rio or Sao Paulo, like here, to do the visa and all of that, and sometimes they get rejected. So they had to take a trip to be able to take another trip, but then they got rejected for that second trip.
yeah.
So they just had to
So-
take a trip, to the consulate just for fun. Just for fun,
Just to spend
And it's
hundreds of
specifically-
Yeah,
dollars.
just fun. And you know
Yeah,
what's crazy?
specific-
Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, it's specifically a lot of Latin America countries, Middle Eastern countries, and Black countries. So
Mhm.
there's a reason.
Coincidence, right? Which it kind of is in the same wavelength of what I was going to say, I think, I think, because this is about immigration, right? Like it's all about that. What's crazy to me is that they're telling on themselves, like the Europe or the US or whatever, because they think that we're going to do to them what they did to us if we get there. And we're not. We're not you. We are not you. Have you ever thought of that? Crazy, I know. That's a crazy concept. But it's very real. Like it's projection. When you only know one thing, like when you do something, you expect other people to do that to you as well. Like, and we also like positive project sometimes, which is a lot of ways that we get disappointed. Is like you think someone else is going to be as considerate as you or like whatever, but they're not. So you're positive projecting, and they are just negative projecting. They're afraid of having the same thing done to them. That's my opinion. I mean,
you are right.
Maybe it is a cold take or a hot take. I don't know, but it's my take.
I don't really feel like I have much to contribute to this conversation. I'll be honest. Well, no, like, okay, look, let's just call fact fact. Okay, I have lived in the U.S. my entire life. Right, I have never been out of the country. I would like to. I never have. All I can say is this: I have friends. I mean, clearly, I have friends who are outside of this country who have, at varying points in their life, went through this process in different times and different things, or know people that have as well. And all I can say is this: the immigration process around the world is beyond fucked up, and there are thousands of different things we could do to improve it. So there's that. But also, as a friendly note, in case you were just, you've stumbled across this video, first off, welcome. We appreciate you being here. But secondly, fuck ICE. Let's just go ahead and put that out into the world.
Fuck ICE, free Palestine, yes.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, yes. Well, free Palestine always, but specifically for this context, fuck ICE.
Well, yes, for the movie.
Yes. Yes, because so I live relatively close to Minnesota. So when all of everything that was going on in Minneapolis was happening, I mean, I'm hearing about it from people, that travel a couple hours to go to work. Minneapolis is only like 4 or 5 hours away from here. And when, people that used to live in Minnesota are now in Michigan for whatever reason, I have a couple people around me that fit that description, or, people I know that fit that description. It's just a lot. And there is a lot we could be doing in this country to make it easier for people rather than making people suffer even more despite any and all circumstances that they have went through to get here in the first place. And watching this movie, you ever seen one of those things? It's like, this is what radicalized me. I could see this being what radicalizes people if they not have.
If they're not yet.
If they're not yet,
Right.
We all get radicalized somewhere. Okay, we all
got to start somewhere.
We all got to
Better
start
late than
somewhere.
never.
Better late than never. Will I admonish you for being stupid in the past? Yes. Will I praise you for being smarter in the future? Also, yes. But I want to touch on my absolute. I mentioned it in the opening. My favorite thing about this movie, the cinematography on this film is stunning. Now, granted, I'm going to say something perhaps a bit controversial. I'm not one for sweeping landscape shots. I think most of the time they're pretty tacky, and I think a lot of the time they just look really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen a movie use sweeping landscape shots better than this film does. And I think that's kind of the point. It's supposed to convey just how long and awful this journey actually is, especially in the sections where they're crossing the desert. And they do a very good job of expressing that. But even on top of that, the scene on the boat towards the end of the film, when you're seeing just how cramped and, I mean, it's a big boat, but still, I mean, there's a lot of people on the big boat. Like the way they use the camera to make you feel, I'm gonna say this and I hope it doesn't come out unintentional. It kind of makes you feel like you're in that cramped environment on that boat. And I can't just. Did this get nominated for cinematography? If it didn't, that's a crime.
No, and I want to add, there is, to your point, I want to say one of the scenes, because I agree with everything that you said, period. One scene specifically when they were crossing the desert was when they went from one shot that was during the day, that was like the sand and very warm and yellow, to a shot of them at night with just like the dark blue sky and like the dark shadows of them walking. And that contrast was so beautiful. Like that was the one non-speaking scene that I took notes on, because it was just so beautiful to see like the way that color was used in this movie and the intention that it was used, because there were moments where it was very gray or brownish or like it. I think they just did a fantastic job with production and just like in a craft sense in this movie in general, not just the cinematography. It was so like, it's such a heartbreaking story, but visually it's so beautiful, like beautifully shot.
See, and that goes into my question, because I had told you all, I've mentioned it 2 different recordings now, that this has a moment that to me was so heartbreaking, yet so beautiful at the same time. And I wanted to see if any of you all could pick up on the scene that I was talking about. So any guesses?
Well, there are a few that I can think of.
Okay.
Because for me, it was the woman in the desert, like before they had like the whole dream and everything and she was floating, like the real scene. And then when when the cousins reunite and like that hug, those were like the 2 scenes that for me were like the stronger emotional points of the movie.
Yeah, I think those 2 are obviously very emotional moments, but I would also add the like good dream he has when he goes to his mother with the god as well, where he's just like when he goes back and he's just screaming out to his mother like, mom, please, like listen to me, please. Like you can tell how much he misses home and how much he misses his family, and he thinks he's going to die. Because he's in jail. He's gotten tortured for I don't know how long. Of course he thinks he's going to die. So this is like him just saying goodbye, basically. So yeah, it was very emotional to me, that scene as well.
For me, the single most emotional scene in this film is actually when he wakes up from that. And
when it cuts to reality. Yeah.
It cuts to reality. And the other prisoner, I think the credits list him as Martins. That's what I'm gonna call him as. When he's like comforting him and like trying to, we don't really. It's never really specified just how injured he is, but we can see his face is like all beat to hell, and he has a scar for the rest of the movie on that side of his face. So we can assume he's not in the best physical condition. Let's just put it that way. But you can see just how much he's still going through, even when he's, hallucinating. But that one guy, by the way, quick side note, Martin, by the way, you are one of the best people I have ever seen in a movie ever. I love you, sir.
A true hero.
That relationship was
a true king.
Yeah.
And honestly, Actually, I don't want to sidetrack. I'll talk about it in a second. David, you go ahead and answer your own prompt.
Yeah, I mean, all of what you all said, those are incredible moments. They all get me. Like, even hearing you all talk about them, I was starting to feel like a little teary-eyed. But for me, I think especially the fact that I went in pretty blind,
Mhm.
and it starts to get real once you're in the desert. Once you see the guy fall off the truck, you see them passing these dead bodies in the sand. But it was that moment where the woman, she just can't go any further, and you see her feet, you hear her crying like out of desperation, and like obviously there's nothing that can be done, but he just stops. He just stops to try to help her, and then he has a vision of him just helping her like float along. Like that part gets me so much. Like it's so heartbreaking and so beautiful, and that's the part where I just sob. Like, yeah, it's yeah,
That's
and,
emotional.
like even if that's the image on the poster, so that's what made me think, oh, this is a fantasy film. And then when I saw what's actually happening, and knowing that happens every year to, I'm sure, dozens of people, if not hundreds. Man, it was so powerful. It really got me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so strong because, like you said, he logically knew that there was nothing that he could do,
Mhm.
but he still couldn't fight his human instinct of trying to at least help with whatever way he could. And of course, tragically, she does pass, but he can't save her, but at least he gave her the fact that she didn't die alone and abandoned. Like she was like, he couldn't save her, but he at least comforted her. Like the fact that she just died in his arms, like at least she didn't die alone. Like if you want to look at the, you know, the silver lining or whatever. And I feel like that is because he, before that point and after, he went through so much, right? But I feel like that specifically is why when we see the scene on the boat at the end, he is like so strong. Like the feeling is so strong when he says, like, he's like, I'm going to save everyone, because he already was not able to save one person. So he's carrying that. It's kind of like Schindler's List at the end when he's like, I could have saved one more. You know what I mean? It's very that.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know what? I couldn't save her. I will not let that happen again. Not on my watch.
Why did you bring up Schindler's List?
Is that the movie? Is that the movie?
That's not the movie. That is one of the
But
5
it's
movies.
a movie.
It
Okay.
is a movie. It is not the movie. But it is a movie. Okay, let me put it this way. Crying at Schindler's List is not embarrassing. Let me put it
Right.
No, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
crying is kind of weird.
I was going to say, if you do not cry while watching Schindler's List, I think there's something wrong with you, maybe.
I think you are fundamentally an incomplete human being if you do not cry watching Schindler's List. I'll just say that. That means you are either a child and have no idea what is going on, in which case, why are you watching Schindler's List?
Where are your
or you're a
parents?
sociopath. Like that's just the truth. You are a sociopath, or you're not a completed human being at this point. But I'm gonna be honest. When I was watching that scene, I kind of was like, "Oh, like I mean, okay." When he goes back to help her, like I was really emotionally invested in that. I don't mean to dampen a moment for me. When she starts floating, I was very confused at first, and then
Okay.
it took for Musa to like shake Seydou and like wake him up. That's just like, oh, that's what's going on. Okay, it took me a second because correct me if I'm wrong. That's like the first fantastical moment in the film.
Yeah.
So when it happened, I was just like, oh. What's happening? I'm quite confused.
I think that's how it's supposed to be. I think you're supposed to have a little bit of hope. Like, even though it doesn't feel like this should be a moment where you have hope, it's like, wow, against all odds, like, is she going to survive? Like, you have that little bit of hope because you need it. You're going to need all the hope you can get throughout this film.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of what they were trying to do with the movie is make you feel like this you mentioned, or the Brooke you mentioned about feeling like you're inside of the boat. Like, I feel like this movie was intentionally made to make us feel like we are going through that in the best way that they could, right?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of impossible to, but they were trying to, I think, make us feel the closest that we could possibly to the story.
Yeah, I will say though, I'll say something to bring up the mood just a little bit to make it maybe something a little bit funny. But I couldn't stop thinking while they were walking in the desert. Imagine walking so many miles with a roll of money stuck up your butt for days. 4 days. What are you? How is?
And then it not even working.
Yeah, and then
Right.
you go to jail. And then you go to jail because of it. Of course, that pissed me off so much, obviously. But while they were walking, I couldn't help but keep thinking, like, does Musa still have the money stuck up his butt?
Like, do they not poop? Do they not fart?
Is he
during the trip?
not?
How long have
Is
they been
he-
walking for?
I don't think he did
It's
it.
never really specified how long they were walking for.
Yeah. It just
Maybe
feels like
that happened like more toward like on the first day that they left, so he had just put it in that day. Anyway,
maybe who knows?
The other thing
But
I want to. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to
No.
cut you off. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I just kept thinking about it. Anyways.
Yeah, I also love how that entire sequence does not actually matter in the end. It really doesn't, because he gets caught, and not that the him like the money him getting taken doesn't matter in terms of like their story, but he got abducted because he didn't give them their money. Guess what? Seydou still ends up going to a freaking a slave auction and is held in captivity for what seems like a decently long period of time. Before,
I mean, that was specifically because he didn't give a phone number.
Well, yeah, but also, do you think they actually would have let him go if they gave him a phone number?
No.
I don't think so. I don't believe that at all.
but that's the point. It's to kind of show that in these types of situations, right? It's damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, you're gonna get fucked anyway. Just choose which way you want to get fucked. That's kind of
Really.
the logic.
Speaking of, while we're on the subject of that, so you remember when we were talking about Rosewood a couple weeks ago, almost a month ago, and I talked about that one scene of the guy's body that was like charred on the tree, like that same color as that charred tree. There is a moment in this movie that hit basically identically to that for me, which is when they're like dropping I don't even know exactly what they were. It was something hot and molten. I don't know exactly what
wax,
it was.
I think.
Probably water with sugar, like boiling water with sugar, maybe.
Whatever it was, when you see them turn that on that guy who's like bolted to the table and his reaction, whoever that actor is, you did a very good job at conveying the pain of that, because that was hard to watch. I had to pause the movie for a couple seconds.
The whole like torture
It kind of just happened.
thing.
Like, if you're just in the middle of the film and then it's just that's happening, and completely taken off guard, completely taken aback.
Also, just a little note, because we were talking before, like, about the real story that kind of loosely inspired this film. That story is much harsher, and there's a lot more violence than the movie showed. So they are different. Like David said, they're like different, not necessarily the same story, but just inspired. But the movie did show a lot of violence, but my point is they could have shown a lot more, is the thing. I think they did a good job with showing us enough to make us feel and realize and be able to see the impact of what's happening, or the depth, but not too much that it took out of the story.
Yeah, I agree.
And focus like a violence porn,
Yeah.
Right.
which is just like showing violence to show.
Yeah, it didn't become torture porn, which I did get afraid that it would happen when we did get to the torture room. especially after, like, they do say, if you don't give us a number, you're dead. So I was like, are we going to see people actually die in front of us right now, like in a violent manner? Thank God that didn't happen, but like, yeah, that was a fear of mine when we got to that scene.
Yeah, I think one thing that's interesting about the scene with the torture and all of that is you have these people from Libya that are part of this, like, honestly, terrorist group, but
I think they
from
used the
my
word mafia.
mafia, yes.
Mafia, yes.
So yeah, my impression is that they also have representatives who are working with them that are from those countries where people are traveling from. You have people that speak those languages, and probably because they're from those same countries as well, but they show zero loyalty to the people that are coming from the same country that they came from. Which I think a lot of this film, a lot of the characters we meet along the way, show such an array of compassion, empathy, or lack thereof, and it's really interesting to see like each character and see like how much willing are they to help, how much willing are they to hurt, and either way, what are they getting out of it, or do they need anything out of it? It's such a good character study for so many small characters in the film.
Agree.
Yeah, you truly get to see a rainbow of people here. It's
The
kinda
ugliest
crazy.
parts of the rainbow too.
It's you
The
get
full
to see
spectrum of humanity.
Yeah, you get to see like truly the brightest, like such kind people like Seydou and Martin. And then you get to the other awful people, of course, as well as everyone in the mafia was there. And I have a headcanon that from the moment that they got into that car, and I don't remember what country it was, but from the moment they got into that car, they were already screwed. That was already part of the mafia.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were already screwed
Yeah.
from the moment.
Yeah.
They
Well,
were
no,
there.
because okay, I understand that these are both teenagers, but I have to think when you're getting off of this bus and one of the first people you run into is offering you transportation, and I have to think there had to have been a little bit of a thought of this seems a little bit too good to be true.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to blast them for that. They were desperate. Let's just be 100.
Yeah, of course.
And they had already gotten away with having a fake passport. So I bet you they were a little bit extra desperate.
Yeah.
But also, I just want to add, it's so weird to me how the first part of this trip, I'm just going to say, up until the passport gets found to be fake, is kind of weirdly optimistic. Like there's a little bit of like,
Yeah, but that's kind of
Yeah, like
going on.
it was-
That was their frame of mind.
Yeah, that's the thing though, right? It's the calm before the storm. It is like you know how you always have beginner's luck in something, like when you play a game and you have never played it before and you play it for the first time and you immediately like destroy it. That's kind of like the first part of the journey. It's just a little too easy, a little too simple for it to be true. Like, and then they hit the desert and they're just not prepared for it.
it was kind of like just enough went right for them to get the confidence that it was gonna be fine all the way, and then they, got the reality check.
Yeah.
There were two things that I wanted to make sure that I don't miss out on saying. One thing is, if this is a best lead actor performance if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
Like
So good.
And
the acting in the whole movie in general, but
Yes.
him, and to know that this was his debut performance, I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. There were two,
Absolutely.
like the whole movie, but two scenes specifically, which were two scenes that he was not talking. One was after before they left, but when the main character, Seydou, when he knew that he was going to leave his family, they were already made the decision and everything. And it was like they were at night and he was like sitting back, watching his family kind of like talk. And he was just like looking and just emoting in his face. And that was just heartbreaking. It was so incredible. And then at the end as well, when he's standing on the boat, like after, he's saying like, I saved everyone, whatever, when he's just like looking at the helicopter and like just the expressions on his face, like it's just fantastic.
Mhm.
Oh, and the other thing was, I understand his mom not wanting him to go. And I also understand him wanting to go and feeling the need to lie to his mother about, like, I can understand both perspectives. And it's kind of like I mentioned before, like, damn if you do and damn if you don't. Because, like, maybe he would have had a good life if he stayed, but he couldn't know that.
True.
And she couldn't know that either. So,
yeah. And I thought she was great too. She was great too, even though she wasn't in it long. Like that moment when he keeps telling her that it was just a joke, and you see like that single tear rolling down her cheek, like that really got me.
She knows. Yeah.
And I did follow up, like I read up to see like a little bit more about his mom, the character that it's based off of. And so once he did get to Italy, he was able to call his mom, and she was so excited to find out that he was alive. But he wanted to get back to Africa to see her, especially because she got sick. But obviously he wasn't able to do that because he wasn't even a citizen. So she ended up dying in 2009, and he didn't get to see her again, which is a sad angle that a sad story, even sadder. But I mean, at least she found out that he made it.
Yeah. I will say I did read that article because you posted it. I was like, okay, I'm genuinely curious to see what's in it. And him talking about his experience, and he made it to Italy. He still lives in Italy from what I gathered.
He's married to an Italian woman, has kids.
Has kids. Like he's doing well for himself now. But him talking about, there's still 10,000 people a year pretty much who die in the Mediterranean. It's not something I'm going to say personally that we really hear about, at least in the West. I didn't, I'm just going to say from a selfish, self-centered perspective, when I think about people immigrating, right, and having these long treks, regardless of legality, to another country, I think about people coming to the U.S. from, Mexico, South America, Central America. That's just where I'm thinking. Because that's just the experience that we get. That's the news we get served here. When I'm thinking about it globally, I mean, where would people in Africa go, right? If they're trying to immigrate to Europe, well, Italy's, got the boot. They're the first town in the Mediterranean. It makes sense to me. I also have to wonder, what was up with the Maltese Coast Guard in this? Because it's just kind of present for about 5 seconds. We get that mention of, the Maltese Coast Guard isn't answering. The Italian Coast Guard says you're not in their jurisdiction, and when I'm hearing that, I'm like, I understand the attack. What are the Maltese Coast Guard doing?
Well, Brooke, you and I both know that there are 5 people that live in Malta.
There are 5 people who live in Malta, and there are Sarah Bonici, Destiny, and the 3 members of the Busker. Yes, we are aware.
Yes, we are. I think you and I specifically in this podcast are the ones that are the most aware that there's 5 people living in Malta. So it makes sense. It made sense to me. They probably don't have the resources to go into the Mediterranean Sea and to save a bunch of people from sudden death. I get it, but at the same time, they could have at least answered and said, hey, we don't have the resources to do this. But yeah, I
mean, respectfully, we know why.
Also,
I know why.
Also, yes.
Yep.
There are several.
Someone else's problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that thought process of, Black people coming into my country? Well, I'm not going to try that hard.
I mean, also, it would have quadrupled the population of Malta overnight.
Because,
again, nobody lives in Malta.
Guys, you don't understand the population of Malta.
Run a new census. It would be too much.
It would be too
many.
Wait,
they need help. They need help. Can any of them sing?
Oh my god.
No, but they can rap, and they're gonna rap. Music.
They do for Eurovision.
They do Eurovision 2027.
Yes. Anyways,
Malta's qualifying for the final. All I have to say about that. But yeah, like
I wanted to.
for the record,
Oh,
Malta
sorry,
has
go
a
ahead.
population just over 500,000 people. Like when we say nobody lives in Malta, nobody
There's
lives
more.
in Malta.
I live in a city that has more
Nobody.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There is
nobody
no
lives in
one
Malta.
in Malta.
Okay.
90% of the people that live in Malta are singers. Everyone else, who knows? I guess they must work at the Coast Guard because like there has to be people there.
This is the most culturally like the most self-centered cultural thing I possibly have right now is my personification of Malta.
Truly.
I was just in Grenada, and they have a smaller population than my city. Their whole country does. It's like
That's
120,000.
crazy.
Wow.
Oh,
It's also
yeah,
a
same.
tiny Caribbean island,
But
Yeah.
so
Yes.
like it's not too
That's
far.
okay.
But well, I guess Malta's tiny European island, so I guess it's also not that shocking.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to find the levity in between the serious moments here, y'all. This is just
Yeah.
I
no,
have a scene. I have a nice, a feeling good scene that
Yes.
I want to bring up because I was looking at my notes to see what else of importance I wanted to say. One of my favorite scenes was in the beginning when they were still like figuring out how they were going to do it before they decided to actually go. When they went to talk to like a spiritual guide, I guess, like the guy, whatever, that told them to go to the cemetery and talk to the ancestors and like all of that. That whole scene of like them going there and then going to the cemetery, asking the ancestors when they were like praying and saying like, we know we shouldn't do this. Like, we know we should tell our moms, like we shouldn't be going away without telling them whatever. And we're asking them for forgiveness in advance for like, that whole like scene was just so beautiful. And then also kind of sad, but like the sentiment of it, it was very sweet. Was just like the whole relationship between the cousins, but especially when Musal at the end, like when they reunite and Seydou is like taking care of him and kind of like nurturing him back to health, and just the way that Seydou kind of ends up parenting everyone and like taking care of everyone. He kind of like takes that role and like feels that responsibility. And I don't know, it's just all of the relationships, like the smaller relationships in this movie I thought were very interesting. It was just really well done.
Yeah.
I agree.
Really beautiful.
It touched on so many like different points as well. Like besides, the main theme, I think it was able to touch on a lot of different points as well. And all of the characters, like I don't know who, I think you said, David, like even the smaller characters were well written. That's fascinating to me because a lot of the times, like even the main characters are not that, with like newer movies, especially like the writing is lacking in a lot of recent movies, in my opinion, especially when it comes to like dialogue. And I think this movie did a fantastic job at that. And in so many different languages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
one thing
crazy
that
to me. That's all I'll say. Go.
Okay. Yeah. One thing that stood out to me on this rewatch is the very end, the climax. You have that harrowing moment on the boat with them trying to get situated, get people safe. Everybody's struggling to stay alive. But then when they finally get their rescue coming and he's shouting out in just joy and power and everything. And he's saying the name of the film. I don't know if you all notice this, but they don't subtitle that. They subtitle everything else that he's saying. But when he's saying Io Capitano, there's no subtitles. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I'm not entirely sure why they made that choice, but I kind of like it, Do you all have thoughts on that?
I have thoughts on the ending. Because
Okay.
I don't know if I agree that they're getting rescued at the end. I think this
we know
ending is a
because
lot.
the guy is in Italy, but like I thought the same thing. I'm like, why is my immediate thought is, oh, they're gonna shoot him. My first thought is, oh, they're gonna shoot him.
I didn't mean that, but like more of they might be getting off the boat, so I guess they're getting rescued from the Mediterranean, sure. But what's going to happen once they get off the
Where
boat?
are they going?
I mean, look, let's be honest here. It's Italy. None of these people, immigrated legally. We don't know what's going to happen with Italy. Are they going to let all these people into their country, give them refugee status? Are they going to just get deported? We don't know. Are they going to go to jail? Like, there's a lot of things that could happen as a result of these people getting to Italy. And while they may be happy to get out of the Mediterranean, which, I mean, yes, I understand, makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. When
it ended, I was kind of like, oh, that's just the end of the movie. Okay. Can we get like 5 more minutes, please? Because I felt like there needed to. Okay, I know that the open ending is kind of the point, and that it doesn't need to have a firm conclusion. But I like closure.
Not the destination.
Yeah. Okay. I like closure. Let me just put it that way. Okay. Closure is lovely. Give me closure, please. And like, I'm not going to say it was like my biggest pet peeve in the movie. I actually have another problem with the movie that we haven't gotten to yet that we will touch on at some point. But I just wish we had I wish there was even like even if it was like a 5-second like post scene off the boat. Like, it just ended. And I'm like, what's going to happen now? And it's such a pet peeve of mine whenever a movie feels like it didn't end at the either tie up your plot points or if you're going to end in the middle of a moment where the movie's still ongoing, make it feel like a spot where it makes sense to end. I felt like there's more that needs to happen after this, even if the story's not going to, you can't tell a full story, right? Mark Twain rather famously wrote at the end of I think it was Tom Sawyer that there's not really a point to end a story every time other than death, right? I don't want him to die, but like, can we get some sort of closure to this, because it just bugs me.
Well, go ahead, because my feeling about this is very quick. Maybe it's just I see it different. That's because your view is your view, and that's fine. To me, the story was, are they gonna make it or not? That was the point of the story, was, are they gonna make it or not? That was the closure, as you will. And they told us, yes, they made it. We don't need to, like, I don't need to know what happened after. What they wanted to us to know is if they were gonna make it or not. They made it. Could we have gotten, like, maybe how they do, like, the writing when they write like what happened after, and they have like 2 paragraphs or whatever telling us what happened? They could have had that, yes, but I don't mind. Like, it doesn't bother me not knowing, and I personally really loved the way that they did the ending.
Mm-hmm. I agree with River. I mean, if they did show more, like once they got there, yeah, there's still going to be a struggle. Like, it's going to be a struggle for a very long time. Like,
it's like the guy said, like, you think Europe is better,
right?
It's not like you're going to find different struggles.
Yeah, I think it's hard to find a way to make it completely satisfying, unless like there was some like a completely unbelievable type of ending, like an absolutely incredible, great ending. Things worked out magically. He shows up to Italy and they're like, hey, we're looking for a rapper. Anybody want to help? But no, I think just the high of the victory in that moment, especially like, even if you're confused about whether things are good or not, believe him. He is as excited as anybody could be. Mm-hmm. You just see the power and passion, and for it to be on that high, and it's contagious as a viewer. For me, it was like, I'm feeling that high with him, and for it to end just suddenly with that Io Capitano screen, I'm like, yes, like, sure, things are going to be rough.
You were rooting for him, and he won. unsatisfying.
I thought it was a powerful way to end it. I respect what you're saying, but I don't think they could have made it more satisfying. I think they would.
It's
It
not
would have
that
been
it's
a
not
little
powerful.
disappointing.
It is powerful, right? It's not that it's not a powerful ending. I think there's definitely a lot that gets conveyed in that moment with the ending. He's the captain. He did it. He got them to Italy, right? His victory happens in that moment, right? Like, I'm fully on board with everything that you just said, David.
Mhm.
It's more of, I don't think the ending of the film is necessarily a happy ending. It's just a victory, right?
Yeah.
And
It's a victory.
with everything that he has been through
Like
this
you win a
entire
battle,
movie,
but
that
not the
all
war.
of these people have been through, even if they haven't been on the same journey as Seydou, like, they've all been through a shit ton to get to Italy, wherever they came from to begin with. This is a victory for all of them. They all made it, right? However long they're going to be there, we don't know. What the circumstances they're going to be there after they're there, we don't know. And honestly, thinking about it now, maybe that's probably for the better. But I just wish there was a little something. That it feels like there's something missing at the ending for me, and I can't really put my finger on it, to be honest with you.
Wait for the sequel.
Don't need one. No.
God, no,
Please do not make a sequel to this.
Please.
No.
No.
Seydou's sister is now going to make the same trip. And it's going to suffer the exact same things, but now it's Seydou's sister. No, personally, I agree with both River and David. I think the movie ended perfectly the way that it should have. I personally think that if it ended, like, if we added more to the movie, it would have not hit as hard as it did. It would have felt less grand. It would have felt less important. It would have just been like, we have this amazing moment. Yes, we finally won. Okay, let's get off the boat. Okay, movie over. It would have just not felt right, in my opinion. Like, you are at the pinnacle of, like, finally Seydou has a victory. Finally, Seydou won and has made it to where he wants to be. And as we've stated many a times, and I'm going to beat a dead horse here, sure, he's going to have a lot of challenges once he's in Italy. But I don't need to see that anymore. Because, as you said, River, the story was, will they make it to Italy? They made it to Italy. That's where the story needs to end. I don't need to know whether Seydou is going to have to struggle to find, like, a visa to be able to stay in Italy. I don't know. It just would have, I think anything else after where it ended, it would have just felt like not
Dragging.
right, in my opinion. Yeah, like dragging. Like adding
like,
more to the story where they're
like feeding it to us, like kind of, like just over explaining or whatever. Like it doesn't need it.
Yeah, it does not need it. It ends, in my opinion, perfectly. And as we've stated, I understand your point of view, but I do tend to disagree with it, unfortunately.
That's fine.
But we all do agree that this is a great film.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I want to know, because I said my opinion about, like, the lead actor. Do you agree with my take on that he should have gotten some recognition for this role?
I mean, yeah. I think he's very good.
At the BAFTAs, at least. Like, they have, like, the breakout star or whatever thing. At least that. Something.
Yeah, I'm very used to, especially because I love watching foreign language films. I'm used to incredible performances from international features not being appreciated when it comes to, like, best actor or actress. Like, I'm so used to it. It's really frustrating, but I mean, I don't think the Academy's watching those movies. So it's a small victory when you get.
In your opinion, I don't care about the Academy. In your opinion.
Right.
What did you think of
I thought he was incredible. I'd have to look at, like, all the movies from that year to see who I would have for best actor, but he's absolutely in the conversation.
Actor in a leading role was a little tight in 2023. I'm just saying that.
But that's what I mean. Like, I know it, like, realistically, it's like a tough like, I understand the logic, but, like, if it wasn't for that, if it was just about the performance, and also because he's young, so that's also a factor, with actor especially, and then the opposite with actress. Like, okay.
Right.
Okay.
What was your other critique, Brooke? You said you had another issue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My biggest issue with this, and this is just a me thing. I love the way this movie is shot. Don't really love how this movie sounds from time to time. The sound mixing, not my favorite in this, and I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that they. Now, granted, I understand.
But where did you
why
watch it?
I watched it. I can't say that for
On your
legal
phone?
reasons. I cannot say
No, I
that
mean
for
the
legal
device, the device in which you watched.
What device?
That
I
makes a
watched-
difference.
Yeah, I watched it on my phone. And I will say
Right,
this though.
so-
Here's the thing. I get where you're coming from. I have very, 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 very good speakers on my phone. Okay, I have a brand new phone.
You didn't even use headphones.
No, I did not, because I don't like them. Beside the point. It's literally just for me, the mixing was a bit off at times. And when we're talking, and it wasn't enough for me to be like, it was just like, it was enough for me to say, okay, this is something that they could have fixed to make the film
It was enough
better.
for you to notice. So
Yeah, it was enough for me to notice, but it wasn't enough for me to be like, oh my God, the mixing on this is trash. It was just, could have been tightened up to the point where there was a way to take this movie and make it better by fixing the mixing. I'll just put it that way. Because there were definitely times where some of the environment noises were a little bit imbalanced with the dialogue. And some of the background just didn't blend perfectly. But it wasn't like atrocious. I have heard so many worse. When we talk about a certain movie in October, which you all know what movie I'm talking about, I'm gonna come for them just as hard, if not harder, for their sound mixing, because it's really bad in that movie. This movie is just not perfect, and it could have been better.
Yeah.
I guess I can throw out a slight critique for it too, since I really haven't been critical. But like in the first 30 minutes, there were a lot of really quick scenes. Like some of them felt like they were like 30 seconds long, and then it would be a fade into the next one. And that was a little jarring for me, I think, just because that's not what most movies do. But I guess the alternative is like taking these scenes where it's really only 30 seconds of information you need and dragging it out a little bit longer. So that might have been worse. But yeah, it was just a little slightly jarring, but that's a small nitpick for me.
I had one small thing that I noticed in technical things. The scene on the boat is when there's one specific scene, just one shot on the boat where it's like the back of the boat and it's like a front shot, like as if we are looking, the camera is looking at the back of the boat, and then the water is behind it, and you can see that the water is moving, but the boat is not. So it's kind of like the way that they use the green screen, like they didn't do, when it's supposed to kind of look like the boat is like you're doing this, and it, like the boat was not aligned with what was happening. So I kind of noticed that small, but that was just such a small thing. But it was the only time that I noticed that it was a green screen, because we know it is, right? But like that, I noticed that it was. But
There
that's
was
very like it was
something
like
that.
10 seconds.
There was another thing that happened like that, and I cannot remember when it was, but I do remember specifically being like, oh, that's definitely a green screen. And it wasn't the boat, but I could not tell you offhandedly what it was.
Yeah, but it was like small things like that.
Oh, I do remember now. Okay, so when the truck is going over those dunes, right? There's a scene, like a shot where you can tell that they just edited the background in because it doesn't look like the other shots with the same background. I don't know why, but it looked off compared to the other shots. It could have also just been like time passed wherever they were shooting and the scenery naturally changed. That happens. But it was either that or they were using a green screen, and it did throw me off a little bit. It was like right after the guy, either right before or right after the guy falls off the back of the truck.
That whole scene was crazy though. That was
oh
my god.
That's when you're like, oh, this is getting real.
You know what that reminded me of, David, because you watched it. That scene reminded me of Surat with the car.
Oh, yeah.
It was. I was like, oh my god.
Another wild,
a wild desert movie.
Yep.
What's
with
up?
That has
some
great
depth.
sound, by the way. Great sound.
Yes.
You would like it, Brooke.
I will watch it at some point. There's a lot of movies on my list. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Girl, don't even get me
Don't
started.
even.
Yeah.
I won't.
It's like 500 plus.
I honestly I know a lot of people when it comes to the Oscars, everybody wants to watch the best picture nominees, a lot of the acting nominees, but I really think best international feature should be required viewing because we need stories like these, especially people like Americans and probably a lot of Europeans who have their own bubble, their own worldview, and they have this inability to show empathy for people that are outside of their culture. But when you're hit in the face with a movie like this, you cannot help it unless you're a sociopath. You cannot help but have empathy for these characters and root for them to succeed. And then you have to question yourself, wait, there are real people like this going through struggles like this. Why don't I care about them in real life, but I do care about them in this movie? So I think one of the biggest accidents that a lot of parents like my own did was getting their kids into movies that show you different cultures and really teach you empathy, because I credit cinema for really making me the person I am and making me care about people that don't look like me, because my culture that I grew up in, small Kentucky, we're taught care about people who look like you, care about white people, care about Southern people, care about that sort of stuff. So cinema is life-changing. Empathy is life-changing. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, because it also forces you to, if you don't look away, right? Like if you actually watch it and you give it a shot, it and you have humanity in you still, you can't help but kind of put yourself in the character's shoe and be like, what would I do?
Right.
Like if you were that, because I'm, like I said, I understand the mother for not wanting him to leave and all of her reasons. And I understand all of the reasons he wanted to leave, and I don't know which side I'm on, because if it was me, if I was him, I don't know what I would do as well. Would I try to risk it like he did? Would I stay in a place that is not the best, but at least is what I know and it's relatively safe because it's what you know? What would you do if you had to make that choice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Sophie's Choice, you know what I mean? Pick.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Before you judge, try to make that decision yourself.
Yeah.
Not so easy. Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Well, folks, I feel like we have reached a good place. So if anyone has anything else further, now would be the time to. If you want to play a extra time, now would be the time to do so. All right, I'll get to the scores. Survivor's on in 30 minutes, so I had to. Beside the point. Yeah. So David, as this was your movie, it is customary. You will be going first.
Okay, yeah. So I obviously like this movie. I put it on my list for a reason. I actually gave this a 4 on my first viewing, but I always like having a second viewing of films that I really enjoyed the first time, because I know I'll probably like it better the second time. And that happened with this film, of course. So I bumped up my score to a 4.5.
Well, there you go.
I saw that on Letterboxd. I'm like, oh, David usually keeps the same score. And interesting.
How about you, Brooke?
Okay, so I have a tendency to use this score, and I hate doing it again. I think this is the 5th or 6th one I've given out. I really like this movie. I really do. I just have a couple issues. Sound mixing did knock it a little bit for me. And it was a hard score to quantify. I think from a story and presentation standpoint, it would have been a 4.5. With slight mixing issues, I did knock it down to a 4. But with the note that
how dare you?
A 4 is still a really good score, and I do really like
it's great.
Boo, tomato, tomato, boo, tomato.
Not boo, tomato. River.
Is it me? Okay.
Yes.
So I debated a little bit on what score to give, and I ended up on a 4.5. I think this is a loosely based on a true story. So I want to learn more. This movie made me want to, do a little deep dive on a few things. And I feel like, similar to you, David, maybe on a second watch, I would bump it up. But for now, this is how I feel.
Yay. Yeah, I loved this movie a lot. Sure, it was devastating. It crushed my heart. It made me want to go to therapy, and it made me want to cry. But it made me feel something that no other movie has made me feel in a while. Yeah, I just connected with this movie really well. And I will be honest, I did not find the issues that you guys did seem to find personally. So to me, it was kind of perfect. So therefore, it did end up getting a 5 out of 5 from me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will never knock someone for having a 5 out of 5 on a good movie.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was debating giving it a 5, because it really, but yeah, this was fantastic. Thank you for bringing this movie to us, David.
Well, thank you all for voting for it. But you should go watch the other 7 movies that were on my bracket too.
Well,
good.
Spoiler alert, real quick. One of them is on the schedule for later this year.
Good.
If you watched their selection video, you probably know which one. I'm not going to say now. If you want to know, go watch their selection video, and then you'll go find out. Thank you so much for being here this month, David. Before we get into what we're about to get into, David, it has been lovely having you. You know the door is open anytime you want to be here for anything.
I appreciate it.
Before. So we have now officially finished March, and I'm kind of bummed because I loved March.
It was honestly, it was my favorite thing that we've done so far. Like, this was so much fun.
Yeah. It's my favorite one we've done so far, but it's not my favorite one we're going to be doing after next month. I have to be a little selfish.
I wonder why.
I want to be clear
shock.
before we go into this, okay? I am the first, I am not the last. Let's make that abundantly clear, okay? This is not me railroading the podcast. We are all doing it this year. I just happen to be first.
Brooke held the gun up to all of us and told us, if we don't do this, I will pull the plug on this podcast. I will not continue.
You said, give me the number or else.
I did exactly. So, I just want to say this. It's a very special time in my life because April's my birthday. And because it's my birthday, I have been given the ultimate gift by my fellow
April is my birthday, as if all 30 days are your birthday.
Trina Vega had a birth week. Yes. I have a birth month. Okay.
Same.
So April is the month that I am born. I'm not going to dox myself by saying the specific day here, but I am born in April. And as such, I have been given carte blanche to pick whatever 4 movies I so desire for us to cover in the month of April. And we are starting off next week with, I'm just going to say, one of my favorite movies. I'm not even going to lie. This is in my top 10 of all time. I fucking adore this film. Even if like half the cast is now problematic. But, oh well. Starring Shia LaBeouf before he was a swear word, John Voight before he was a swear word, Sigourney Weaver, still not a swear word, Queen, and God, what is his name? The guy from My Brother Where Art Thou? I forget his name.
John Turturro?
No, the other one.
Oh.
We've had this conversation before.
Tim,
yes.
I forget his name. Tim. Holes from 2003. I'm going to be fangirling next week pretty much the entire episode. So if that's the kind of content you're here for, tune in next week for Holes. And yeah, tune in throughout the month of April to see what 4 movies that I do love all 4 of the movies I've selected. Will be getting covered by us during April. And then later this year, both River and Eduardo will be getting the same thing during the months that they were born. So don't worry about it. It's not just happening the once. Sorry, David.
It's okay,
Maybe
good for
next year. Maybe next
Maybe
year.
next year.
you.
Well, but you and Eduardo have the same. Isn't it the same month?
No,
No.
I'm January. That's Oscars.
Oh, it's the same sign.
Oscars takes
Okay,
precedent. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oscars took precedent this year, this one time. We don't know what we're doing in the future.
We shall see.
Yeah.
We shall see. But until next time, everybody, we're going to go switch back to the March Madness bracket background. Thank you so much for joining us here today. But unfortunately, we have ran out of popcorn, drank our entire soda, and nobody ever eats more than one soft pretzel. So we will see you next week to talk about holes. But until then, thank you so much for joining us here today. Since you've listened to this entire podcast, why not subscribe? You're already here. And we have a lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline for you throughout the rest of the year and into next year. So we thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.